In the dark of 1888, London's poorest streets were a canvas for unimaginable brutality. But the true horror wasn't the blood on the cobblestones. It was the horrifying thought that the killer might have been a surgeon skilled in the art of human dissection. For over a century, the case has remained unsolved. But tonight, we will strip away the myths to examine the terrifying facts, the damning suspects, and the real lives of the 5 women he stole. We begin on a fateful night in August. The year is 1888. The place, Whitechapel, East London, a district teeming with poverty, desperation, and disease. For the working-class women of Whitechapel, life was a daily struggle, and for many, the streets were their only means of survival. On August 31st, 1888, the first victim was discovered. Her name, Marian Nichols, a 43-year-old mother of 5. Her throat was savagely cut, and her abdomen brutally mutilated. Found in Bucks Row, her murder sent a shiver through the East End, but it was dismissed by many as just another tragic act of violence in a dangerous neighborhood. Then, just 8 days later, on September 8th, lightning struck again. Annie Chapman, 47, was found near her home. Her throat, too, was slit, but this time, the mutilation was even more gruesome. Parts of her internal organs had been removed. This was no ordinary killer. This was a predator operating with chilling precision. The medical examinations revealed a terrifying pattern, deep, precise incisions that suggested a knowledge of anatomy. Police began to fear they were hunting a surgeon, a butcher, or someone with a chillingly specific skill set. The fear escalated, and then the letters began to arrive. The most infamous of these was the Dear Boss letter. Signed Jack the Ripper, it taunted the police, promising more murders. This was the moment a legend was born, giving a monstrous name to the terrifying shadow haunting London. But nothing prepared the city for the double event. On September 30th, within hours of each other, 2 more victims were found. First, Elizabeth Stride, 45, found with her throat cut, but with no abdominal mutilations. Some believe the killer was interrupted before he could complete his ghastly ritual. Then, just 45 minutes later, Catherine Eddowes, 46, was discovered. Her throat was also cut, but her face was disfigured, and her internal organs, including a kidney, had been removed. This was a brutal escalation. The terror was now palpable. London was in a state of panic. The police were overwhelmed. Thousands of posters were distributed, thousands of suspects questioned, yet Jack the Ripper remained a ghost. The press fanned the flames of fear, turning the killer into a macabre celebrity. The From Hell letter arrived days after the double event, addressed to a vigilante committee chairman. It contained half of a human kidney, allegedly from Catherine Eddowes, and chillingly claimed the other half was fried and ate it. Whether this was genuine or a morbid hoax, it deepened the terror. The evidence was frustratingly scarce. A piece of Catherine Eddowes' apron, stained with blood, was found, possibly dropped by the killer. But no witnesses ever got a clear look. The dense fog of Whitechapel served as the Ripper's perfect accomplice. Then came the most horrific murder of all. On November 9th, 1888, Mary Jane Kelly, just 25, was found in her single room. This was not in an alleyway, but indoors, behind a locked door. Her body was mutilated beyond recognition, an act of savage brutality that truly defied description. The sheer ferocity of Kelly's murder suggested a killer who was no longer rushing, who had time to carry out his most gruesome acts in private. Many believe this was the Ripper's final victim, his brutal masterpiece. And then, as suddenly as he had appeared, Jack the Ripper vanished. The murders stopped. The terror subsided, but the mystery endured. Was he caught? Did he die? Or did he simply move on, leaving London forever scarred? Over the decades, hundreds of theories have emerged, and countless suspects have been named. But today, 3 names consistently rise to the top of modern investigations. First, Aaron Kosminski, a Polish barber living in Whitechapel, identified by a witness, though he was never formally charged. Later DNA analysis on a shawl found at a crime scene has pointed strongly to Kosminski, though these findings remain highly debated. Next, Montague John Druitt, a barrister. He disappeared and died shortly after the last murder, leading some to suspect he was the Ripper, and his death brought the killings to an end. He had medical training, fitting the profile. Finally, Walter Sickert, a famous painter. His macabre obsession with the Ripper murders and his alleged confessions have made him a chilling, if controversial, suspect. Each suspect has a compelling case, yet none offer undeniable proof. Jack the Ripper's reign of terror lasted barely 10 weeks, but his legacy has stretched for over 130 years. He birthed the modern fascination with serial killers and the true crime genre itself. The Whitechapel murders were more than just a series of brutal crimes. They were a window into the societal anxieties of Victorian London, a stark reminder of humanity's darkest impulses. Despite countless books, films, and investigations, the identity of Jack the Ripper remains the greatest unsolved mystery in the annals of crime. Perhaps that's precisely how he wanted it. What do you think? Who was Jack the Ripper? Share your theories in the comments below. Do you believe the DNA evidence, or does another suspect haunt your thoughts? Thank you for joining us tonight. If you were intrigued by this tale, please like this video, share it, and subscribe for more stories that haunt the night. Until next time, stay vigilant.